this is the first stream that I'm archiving. I did a few test streams the other day um, for some game development that I'm doing. I'm just gonna post about it on social media real quick. Pardon me. Uh, this will just take a moment. Sorry. What a way to start, huh? Yeah. Okay, so I'm uh, I'm working on a game project that I've actually been working on it for a few days now, and it's it's for a game jam that's running. It's been actually the jam has been running for a couple weeks now, but I only got started this week, and I am hoping to. Sorry, I'll stop worrying about that. Okay, so yeah, I'm hoping to get most of the project done today, and then whatever I can't get done today, I'm pretty sure if I'm reading the schedule right, there's time to work on it on Sunday as well. So I'll probably stream again on Sunday as I finish up the project. You're right. So I guess what we're seeing here on screen is my face over here. That's what this is. And then on the other side of the screen, the other side of the screen, we have the development setup that I have, making the game in Unity. So I have like the scene editor and monodevelop set up for the scripting, coding work that I'll be doing on the project. And all right, I'm just gonna poke at the internet one last time, and then I'll get started. Yeah, it seems like it's working. I guess maybe fine, probably fine. All right, sorry. So yeah. Anyways, right. This is the scene that we have set up. I guess I'll just run through what we have working so far. A lot of the stuff that is currently set up in the project is for debug purposes, just to facilitate like fast development. Viewer. Hey, Kaylin. How's it going? Sorry. This is really exciting. This is the first time I'm streaming, so oh, maybe you're watching a commercial right now. You might not even be able to see me talking yet. All right, I'll cool down. I was just saying, like this is the project as I have it set up and working so far. I'll just run through a simulation, which it's going to just absolutely like pour these little shapes onto the scene. That's it's extremely accelerated just so that whenever I'm testing to see if a change that I've made works, it'll run the simulation incredibly fast. So I'm gonna hit play. There'll be a few shapes on the island, and then there'll be a whole bunch more like just pouring, just absolutely like, well, you'll see, like a fountain of shapes, all different colors. And yeah, this is this is everything we have so far. This is what I've accomplished in like. I think I've put like probably about maybe 7 hours into the project so far. Which is especially great considering the background is still just an MS Paint drawing. That MS Paint drawing, that was like an hour alone now. I whipped that up really fast. We have the simulation that runs. We still haven't made the game interactive yet, so it is still technically just a simulation, and it's actually not going to be super interactive even when it's done. It's going to be, the simulation is going to be like a lot of it, I guess, and then there are going to be a few key, like critical choices that the viewers or the players, excuse me, are invited to make as the simulation progresses. So I think Oh yeah, when I stopped yesterday, I was about to hook up the score meter at the top of the screen, and I'm using 3D text, or I put in 3D text because I don't know, it seemed convenient in terms of like with the GUI text in Unity, I've had uh, situations where I had to kind of like wrangle it to keep it in place when the screen changes resolution. So I went with 3D text, hoping that some of those would be alleviated, some of those problems would be alleviated, but then I actually don't know how to address it in script, and so since I actually don't plan on changing the resolution, I'm probably just going to change that over to GUI text. So I'm going to stop the simulation, I'm going to destroy the score object, which was just, I mean, like, that you could see it wasn't updating or anything, it was just a placeholder sort of thing. Anyways, actually, before I delete it, I'm going to add in the new GUI text to so that I can line up the new text roughly to oh, the text is white. Let's turn it a color more noticeable, more visible. Let's I'm still not seeing it. Why am I not seeing it? Let's investigate. Hypothetically, this widget indicates the location of this GUI text that we just placed in this scene. And yet it does not it's not nearly as visible as I prefer text to be in most circumstances. So that's fun. That's a fun way to start. Well, gosh, I'm not sure what to do about that exactly. Like, there should hypothetically be text there. It should be in gray. And yeah, I don't know why we're not seeing it. Awesome. So maybe I'll just figure out how to address 3D text in script and stick with that. Or well, so maybe it was because I like started moving it around and stuff. I'll go back to when it was initially created and try changing. Yeah, because like the thing that I've noticed about GUI text in my past experience with it is that like the way it translates around the scene is not super predictable. And I guess I'm making it gray, which could blend in with the background. I'll just try making it red for now. Hopefully that'll pop GUI text wherever you are. Am I looking at it from the wrong direction? No, that'd be weird. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Wait. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, no. I think I remember this. It never shows up in the scene view. It only shows up in like the game view. So that's cool. Hey, look at that GUI text right there. Bam. So before, sorry for putting my face too close to the camera. I do that a lot because the text on my screen is really small. I realize that is supremely unattractive, and I will try and keep that to a minimum. Alright, so GUI text, clearly not the size that we want it to be. Let's put it to like 20, no, 40. That's roughly the size we want it to be. Let's put it roughly into the location that we hope it to be. Oh, actually, so it's aligned left, which I think is actually what we want. Anchor upper left, I guess is fine, because it won't be translating at all. So once we get it roughly into place, I think this is approximately where we want it to be. Looks like the 3D text is a little bit bigger, so I'll just bump this up. I guess 45 is probably a pretty good size, about how I had it. And then this isn't clicking cleanly, but let's put this to like 1, I guess. No, how about 0.99? No, 98. That looks about right. And then let's put the text color approximately what we want the color to be. Alright, so yeah, I mean the nice thing about GUI text is it's a little bit crisper, it's a little bit cleaner, so the overall result should be in fact slightly better using this, fingers crossed. I'll parent this to the main camera. Oof, no, I'm just gonna leave it free floating because like if I want to transform the main camera, I'm fairly certain that'll ruin everything with GUI text, just because of how it responds to translation. But I will name it score, and then yesterday I set up a public game object on our play script so that I can update score directly from the play script. And that is in fact what I was doing yesterday when we left off. Here we have so the float value of score is calculated based on the population of the island. Like the score is based on the productivity of the populace, kind of. The score is also the currency, so you strategically spend it or hoard it at a few of the choice points that I mentioned earlier, and then you're constantly, depending on the decisions you make, the decisions you make affect your they're kind of trade-offs between your currency and your population, and so the decisions you make will affect the rate at which you accumulate score. And this is a very traditional game in as much as score is good, and it's essentially like a numerical representation of whether you're winning or not. I hope that the finished product will be slightly more nuanced than that in how it's played, how it's interpreted. But for starters, we do have this fairly basic metric. So score GUI text dot text, I think, is how we address the content of the text, and we want it to just be so like the rounded integer value of the score float that we're keeping track of. Specifically, I guess we'll go, so mathf dot floor to int, we'll round it down to the nearest integer, and if we do that just to our score value, then we will have something nice, I think, in terms of displaying the score that we want to see. So I'll save that, and then I'll just try running the simulation. Hypothetically, we're at now can't implicitly convert into string. I think I just use like toString. Yeah, okay. Right. So now we were I got an error that it said we could not implicitly cannot convert another group. Okay, so first we got an error because I was trying to set the text value to an int when it wanted a string, and then I got another error because I forgot to put the parentheses at the end of the conversion to string. It's not wrong. That's the wrong button. I will save the scene though, and then run the simulation. Hopefully, where it says GUI text will get replaced by a number, and like hypothetically, that number would increment up at some point. Yay! Look at that, it incremented up. Yeah, I have like a public variable productivity to determine like how rapidly this number will tick upwards, because you can see it's starting to tick up faster now, and that's because the population is growing. I have this other value to decide exactly how essentially for a given population how many units are produced how fast, or how much of this resource is produced how fast. So like if we cranked it up, then the score would go flying. Like for example, now it's going 10 times as fast as it was, now it's going 100 times as fast as it was. But yeah, actually, I mean, it looked kind of okay where it was. I'll probably overall tune it up a little more, but I won't really know exactly how I want to tune that one until I get like the pace of the population growth more realistic. And as I mentioned before, it's like rapidly unrealistic at this point, just so that I can test to make sure that I'm not breaking things. So yeah, that was like a little aside. I think before I got score hooked up, or before I started making score do stuff, update with like an actual number instead of just like this placeholder number. What was I doing? Oh, I was working on. Okay, yeah. There's another scene to the project. So this is like the this is like, I guess, like the starting view. It's like the view that you get for like the overhead like simulation, like looking down at the island. However, there's also another scene that it's not literally another scene in Unity, like it's not another scene file, but it like it exists within the same space, but is another like view of again, it's rendered in MS Paint, so I apologize for some of the imagination you'll have to expend in order to see it. But there's another scene on the edge of the volcano, and on the edge of the volcano, which is hypothetically this. The score. Yeah, no, I guess the score would continue to tick up on this scene. Sorry. Yeah, so on this scene, you are conversing with this guy here. This is, I guess, like an elder. He's like the only like speaking character. I think he's essentially who will like introduce you to the world and like kind of let you know what's going on. I've also never written for a game recently or ever. I just don't write much. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun coming up with this dialogue. It's gonna take a bit of iteration. Yeah, as you might be able to tell, this is just placeholder text. Actually, this is not even an attempt at what this character might be saying in the actual game. Yeah, so then there are squares at the bottom of the screen. These are like buttons at some, let's see, at some junctures, there'll just be like a big OK button that stretches across the entire bottom of the screen, although I haven't put in the OK text yet. Basically like a yes, please continue button. I don't know, I guess maybe as a stretch goal I could make your half of the conversation a little more interesting than just okay, but essentially that'll be like the way to continue on, and then at certain points you'll have to choose between multiple options, at which point you'll have two buttons. Oh yeah, the one thing that the other thing that I did yesterday before I started hooking up the score is that I did, like, the game is slightly technically interactive in that, like, when you click places it can tell whether you're clicking on these buttons or not. So today, probably, once we start hooking up the like the actual game itself, like the interactive segments, then, well, at least that part will be done for us, as long as we don't move the boxes around. If we move the boxes around, then we have to go retune those values. But let's see, I'm just going to be boring on the internet for 1 second, one split second, because it's super not important, but like I posted, my Twitter is set up to like automatically post to Facebook, and it never actually did, so I'm like, oh look, and I have notifications on Facebook as well, and then get distracted by that. I should not get distracted by that. Okay, wait. Okay, sorry. All right, that's it. I'm closing it now. I'm not gonna look at the internet at all ever again. Oh no! Why are we seeing errors in the background? That's startling. Let's investigate. Index out of range. Ooh, wow, that's some cool hair. Excuse me. All of a sudden, our random values started going out of range. What are we even doing at this point? Mob count? Oh, we got to the end of the mob count? What? Oh, right, yeah. Okay, yeah, no, okay. That's yeah, so I'm guessing if we look at the scene, it will probably be fully populated. And then, oh god, wait, why are there so many clones? I don't know what that's about. I'll have to worry about that at some other juncture. Alright, well, that's cool. Yeah. I like running the simulation because, whoa, what is going on there? That is startling. But, oh, no, wait, no, I know why that's happening. It's because, yeah, it's because it started erroring, and so everything went to heck. So, yeah, so I like running the simulation just to see how things are going, but then also you stumble across, like, weird errors that you accidentally introduced and might not have found until much later. Okay, yeah, right, so this is the section of the script where we're generating those little entities, and currently it's only checking if it's time to spawn a new entity when spawning a new entity, but I'm also going to check that we haven't exceeded our limit, because if we've exceeded our limit, then we can just skip the rest of that stuff, because we don't really have to be doing that anymore. So if, what is it, if mct, which is our mob count, they're called mobs because I borrowed from, I borrowed some code in in one of my other projects that called them mobs, and it was just easier not to change it. So mob count, if mob count is less than max mobs, then we're good. Because we're only really set up to accommodate that many mobs. So let's save that, and hopefully that fixed it. I'm not going to run the simulation again, but we're just, based on the error and what I know of having set up the project, I am confident that that was an improvement that we just made. So we're talking about the interface, the player interface for the decision-making segments of the game. And so, yeah, I mean, like, for the final project, I'd like to have, like, a smoother transition between scenes, but at least at first we're going to just kind of, like, pop between the two, I guess, at an appropriate juncture. I'll probably, even if I don't come up with, like, a cleaner transition, I'll try at least to introduce the elements at a pace that the player will, sensibly or reasonably discern why why this transition has just happened. It might be slightly jarring, but it's also the sort of thing that, like, if you just kind of follow the prompts on screen, the causality it'll become clear fairly quickly, I think. I hope. We'll see. Oh yeah, the other thing I was thinking I'd make an iconic representation of the currency, so that when referring to the currency, it's clear that that is the same number that we're talking about. Like, this is the resource that you are spending. That is a task in MS Paint, and I might just do that now, I guess, because it's one of those things that I keep remembering to do, and then I have not actually accomplished yet. So I might as well do it now. I think I'm just gonna, like, yeah, I think I'm gonna, like, I'm just gonna make a texture to put on a cube, and then I'm gonna flatten the cube down a little bit, well, like a rectangular prism technically, but so it's like kind of like the size of a cartridge, I guess. I mean, like, the icon, I think I'm actually gonna make it look like a floppy disk, I think. I don't know. That's like, which is when I like there's not an exact analogy for, like, what this resource even really is, but, like, whenever I picture in my mind, it's a floppy disk, so I don't know. Not super important. What am I looking for? 256, I guess. I don't know if it's important to make it an exact square, make the texture an exact square, but exact squares are cool, right? People like exact squares. 256 by 256. So I'll save this as we're looking for C projects, pay with an extra Y, assets. We'll call this I guess just currency. Yeah. Currency.ping, I guess. Hypothetically, like, if I have time today or on Sunday, I think I'm gonna like, if I polish up the assets so they're not just MS Paint, I think I'm gonna take them onto my other PC, which I'm not set up for streaming, but has better image editing tools. So I might be able to come up with something slightly more polished, a little more presentable. So what does a floppy disk even look like? Well, we have one up here on the save icon, I suppose. Oh, if I use the floppy disk, are people going to think it's like a save icon? Maybe I should go with just a classic NES cartridge. I think that was why I came up with floppy disk in the first place, is that it just reminded me of what was my concept, what was my original concept of the physical incarnation of gaming. And I started on a PC when I was 5, floppy disks, yeah. So I could go for those big floppy disks. I don't know what they're called, but the ones that are actually floppy, or just a generic cartridge shape. Yeah, you know what? I've saved that square texture, and I'm just not gonna bother with it right now. Maybe inspiration will strike me later on. So let's instead add in that interactive section. Add in the game itself. So we have the volcano scene, and so as it will be encountered in the course of gameplay. So some number of populace or some number of inhabitants will start on the island, and then at intervals, new people, or these little entities, will be introduced to the island, and at that juncture, when a new person is introduced to the island, that is the juncture at which we may switch over to the volcano scene, and we may have to make a choice. So I guess we could just start evaluating the scenario, so we have the if we run the simulation, we have the dude spawning, and I guess now we can set up the evaluation for whether this transition will occur, and then so it won't actually be the interactive part yet, but it'll be the part that leads into the interactive part, and so then when we set up the interactive part in the course of gameplay, it will actually occur as it might be expected. Whoa, do I really have 6 viewers right now? That is amazing. My mind is blown. Hello, viewers. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Oh, wow, the number just immediately dropped down to 4. I don't know what that means. Well, thank you for reviewing. Thank you for tuning in. Right, so here's this mess of shapes pouring onto the island. Over on the code side, we are going to check out, again, the same section that we were looking at before. This is where new mobs get spawned, and so we have that all set up to generate the mobs as we've seen. And so I guess right in the same section, this is the correct place to also run the evaluation as to whether we will encounter an interactive segment. What shall we do? There are several variables that contribute to this determination. One is the shape of the mob. You might have noticed that some are octahedrons, some of them are spheres, and the others are, I call them coin shaped. They're kind of cylinder cross sections. They're I don't know, if you cut up a hot dog, it'd be one bite of hot dog. Sorry. I might have messed something up with my simulation. These well, I don't know, it's hard to tell because there's always random chance that could generate this outcome, but actually the way it set it up, I feel like this outcome is actually very statistically unlikely. So I wonder if I might have accidentally or something. Or you know what? I mean, I'm also using a lot of random values where it might actually be better to just use some sort of like alternation or statistically driven um, decision making. Yeah, this is like, I think statistically more likely this outcome. Uh, maybe that other one was just a fluke, but then like, do I really want flukes as an expected occurrence? I mean, numbers. If you roll a die enough times, you'll get those weird results, whether you like them or not. And that represents like someone attempting to play the game and getting like a really weird experience. So I'll probably want to circle back um, and clean that up at some point, or like make it smarter. For now, though, actually the same thing that drives that system is also what we will reference for the purposes of this decision, specifically so like the shape of the mob, which I'm calling mob type, and then its color values. It's like red, green, blue color values will also play a part. I started thinking about exactly how this will be calculated, and essentially like all of those factors will contribute to a value. All of those other values will contribute to like one aggregate value, and then there'll be like a given threshold just for whether we transition to the other scene or not. And so for one thing, I'm pretty sure we could set up, we can say like so all right, let's just start a new int, I guess, or it might be a float. No, it'll be a float, I guess. So let's have a new float for I mean, like how it manifests in the game is as cost. That's why the game is called pay with an extra y. So I might as well just I'm gonna call it price, I guess. Price doesn't really describe it. It's like the opposite of value. It's like, what do we attribute to something when we think not only is it not valuable, but it's literally the opposite of valuable. Like it's, I guess, cost. I guess cost. All right, whatever. No one's gonna actually see this. So I mean, it's just it won't be called cost. Like no, the player will never actually encounter this value. It'll all be calculated under the hood. So it actually does not super matter what it's named per se. So float cost equals 0 for now. If MPF, which is I forget why I call it MPF, but it's the shape of the mob. The mob prefab something. If MPF equals 1. Oh, actually, no. You know what? I can just say cost equals MPF. Float cost equals MPF. And so if the mob was of prefab 0, then cost is 0. If the mob was of prefab 1, then the cost is 1 so far. And then if the mob was of prefab 2, then the cost is 2. And that actually correlates roughly to how I wanted those cost values. We can scale that if needed. But it's probably a fine place to start. And so then also, what else? Like as I mentioned before, the red, green, blue values of the other, like what we calculated here for the color will also come into place. So the color as we calculated it was so mob's color MCT. So I guess cost excuse me, cost plus equals, so we're adding to our cost value the red value. This might be super simple. It might just literally be adding a matter of adding in the red, the green, and the blue values. So I guess that gives color, like, so hypothetically, oh wait, no, I have this backwards. It's actually minus equals, if anything. So cost equals plus equals 3 minus mobs color R minus mobs color G minus mobs color B. Yeah. So I guess I haven't mentioned yet that this is like, the game deals with like fairly serious themes in a light sort of like metaphor. I apologize if any of the if when I'm discussing the mechanics by which these themes are presented programmatically, if that well, so I'll try and handle these topics as delicately as possible, and I hope not to offend anyone with the clinical or analytical way in which I examine the systems that I'm constructing here, which are, somewhat analogous to things that might exist in real life. I will try to keep that in mind and be as respectful as possible. Let's see. Now we have like a hypothetical cost of 5, which is the case if the prefab is 2 and the R, G, and B values are all 0. We end up with 2 plus 3. I think for one thing, I might just scale. So instead of float cost equaling MPF, I might do cost equals MPF. No, you know what? I'm going to do cost equals so yeah, the hypothetical cost from the prefab or the mob type is 2, and then instead of 3 for the hypothetical cost from the mob color, I'm then going to do multiply this by 2 and divide it by 3, so that the hypothetical cost is 4, and the I might actually do. Yeah, that's fine for now. Now the total hypothetical cost is 4. It can be like a total of 2 from the type and a total of 2 from the color values. And then, so I think our threshold is probably going to be like just under 1, I guess. Like maybe like 1/2. Yeah, it's probably going to be like 1/2. So we can say if cost, and actually I want to tune the threshold later, so I'm going to make a public variable for that threshold, public float I don't know what to name these. I so what it's like the threshold that we were talking about, and then so I'm just gonna call it like C underscore threshold. I guess for now, and I think 0.5 is a good way to start. A good value to start at. Cost. So if cost is less than, if cost is greater than threshold, C threshold, C underscore threshold, then we will make a transition. Specifically, for starters, so the transition will just be like overt and like instantaneous and probably a little bit jarring, but. Oh right, actually, so in order to make this change, we are going to have the second scene, the volcano scene, addressable, or you know, like we're excuse me, we'll have it as a I'll just put it. I don't know, wherever, here, I guess. I have like a vague sense of organization. Thankfully, this script I'm writing is all probably very small on your screens because you don't want to see what my organization practices are like. Game object, volcano scene, volcano mouth. I guess. Right. So then we can, now that we like have a way to know what the volcano scene. Oh, I did call it volcano scene here. Oh wait, maybe I'll call it volcano. I'll call it volcano scene both places. Just keep the naming consistent. Volcano scene. Just to. Right. So what we're doing with that is that by exposing the volcano scene on the script, we can now talk about it and interact with it in the script. Specifically, we can enable it. Volcano scene dot active, I think. Say active true. And so yeah, I think now if we run the script, it should switch over to the volcano scene almost instantly because we're like, yeah, it just switches over like almost instantly. I guess actually, so we could put the threshold, just for test purposes, we could put the threshold at like 3.5, and then it might run for a minute before it switches over. Well, it didn't switch over me. Yeah, look at that. All right, so yeah, it's probably actually evaluating correctly. Probably. I'll save that for now. Let's see. So yeah, we want to set the volcano scene active. I'm also just going to keep tabs on like where in game state we are, and to do that, I'm going to just like keep a Actually, I haven't really approached this before. None of the games that I've set up recently in Unity have had dialogue. So I'm trying to think of like how granular to keep track of like this aspect of the game state, because like I mean like ideally the dialogue with the elder on the volcano cliff, that's kind of like where like everything that isn't just simulation, kind of happens in that location. So like all the interactivity happens there, and I guess I'd hope for it to, like, I hope between today and tomorrow, or not tomorrow, today and Sunday, I'll have time to flesh that out. And if I am to do that, how would I want that set up? I'll just start like really like super basic. I'll just start with a boolean for which scene we're at. So bool actually I guess we'll just an int. Nah, bool, because I know we only have the two scenes. This should not be nearly as stymied as it is. I'm going to go with int for reasons I can't explain entirely. No, I just expect to extend it beyond a boolean, and so for now I'll use 0 and 1, and I'm almost certain I'll be using like 2, 3, 4, and 5 either later today or on Sunday. So in game, or in current scene, I should come up with a better name than scene, but for now it's scene. So it starts at 0, because 0 is the island overview scene, and when we transition, we'll switch over to current scene equals 1. And so the buttons, like the user interaction really only has to happen if, or like, at least with regard to, checking what button is pressed, that really only has to happen on the other scene, because on the first scene there isn't any interactivity, excuse me. One of my like stretch goals is actually to add interactivity to the main island, but that's, I don't know how realistic that is. I won't worry about it for now. So we have all this going on, and so you can play it, and then you switch over to the other scene. For one thing, we actually don't want the simulation to be running necessarily, not in its entirely. We don't want the entire simulation running when you're at the volcano mouth. Before we set like the spawn next is less than I mean, we have, so like the we added the extra criteria that will only spawn new mobs if we haven't reached the mob count. We already had the criteria that will only spawn new mob if it's time to spawn a new mob. And let's also add the criteria that we'll only do this if the current scene is 0. I think I kind of want to pause time for like spawn next. I think I kind of want that not to tick while we're at the volcano mouth. Yeah, and that's not hard. That's basically just a matter of flipping around how I'm keeping track of spawn next. So for one thing, I'll add in that criteria that I talked about. So only if current scene equals 0 will this all spawn, and then in order to also like freeze the spawn time, we will so currently there's a float called spawn next, which marks the time at which the next mob will get spawned. So let's refactor that to instead last spawn, and I guess it wouldn't hurt to make it clear that we're talking about a time. So last spawn time. so, all right, now we're using it improperly because we just changed its meaning, but we haven't changed actually how it's used. So what we actually want to check is that if last spawn time plus spawn period is less than the current time, then we want this to evaluate to true. That means so if the time at which we last spawned a mob plus the period at which we will spawn a new mob has transpired, really, like if it's less than the current time, that's what time.fixed time means, then we will then this will evaluate to true. However, last spawn time is not denoting the last spawn time. It's still denoting the Wait, am I setting this up correctly? I know I'm inverting it, but am I inverting it the way that I want it to be inverted? Yay. No. No, I'm not. I'm just inverting it, and that's actually not what I meant to do. Sorry. I apologize. Alright, so no. It's not last spawn time. It's still next spawn time. The difference is that next spawn time. Oh my gosh, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm all sorts of backwards on this one. It's that we don't actually want to compare it to time.fixed time. It's that we want another float for so we want another float to keep track of how much time has passed. Right. That probably should have been a little easier to arrive at, but alright, sorry. Float, so like spawn progress, I guess. Oh. Yeah, and I don't think we actually need next one. Sweet. Alright, so, yeah, this is probably going to replace our other one. I don't... Sorry. I probably could have implemented this correctly in the first place, but for some reason, converting the old system to the new system is bending my brain. So, let's see. We now have spawn progress. So, spawn progress. Okay, previously we had next spawn time getting incremented by the spawn period each time we spawn a new mob. Now we actually want spawn progress to go to 0 each time we spawn a new mob, and we only want to spawn a new mob if spawn progress is greater than spawn period. And the way spawn progress gets bigger than spawn period is by incrementing spawn progress plus equals time dot fixed delta time. So the reason that this lets us do what we had wanted to do, we only need to increment spawn progress when, or rather if, current scene equals 0. Yeah. And now that I think about it, like I could just put that entire simulation into like all that, like pretty much everything we're doing is like can be within like if scene equals 0, because really like all that we'd set up there was for the island scene. So shall I then? Yeah, why not? So I'm going to brace around this whole thing. I'm going to indent this whole thing. This is all the code that makes the dudes bounce around on the island. Also, I'm of course immediately second guessing whether I should have done that or not. But that basically freezes time, and like that makes like your conversations on the mountain occur outside of time. So no, I'm gonna undo that because I am mercurial like that. Instead of bracing all of that, we're actually only going to brace around a lot of that. Specifically this much, and we're going to indent this much, and then because we're already evaluating whether we're in the current scene, we don't have to check again whether the current scene is 0. So score. There's a reason that I considered pausing productivity when we're in the volcano scene, and I don't think we should necessarily. Maybe we should increase productivity while we're in the volcano scene. And maybe we won't worry about that right now. So I'm just gonna make mob account public so I can look at it. And then we're gonna run the simulation and see if mob count stops ticking upwards during why does it show up as just CT instead of m_CT? I wonder. Anyways, so it should jump immediately to 10 and then start to increment even higher, and it stops immediately at 11. Whereas I think if we put the count threshold up to like 3.5 again, then it would take a little bit longer, and well, 12. Okay, yeah, a little bit longer. I wonder if it was like 3.9. I wonder how long that would take. Actually, like I was saying earlier, I think some of my what? I get a 3.9 on my first hit. Yeah, like I was saying about like randomness and really even at 3.9. What about like 3.95? How long is that gonna take? Wow. Yeah, my math is off somewhere. All right. Let's see what's happening with that. Let's see what sort of we have that we're calculating that cost value, and let's see what type of values we're actually getting out of cost. So let's print, after we calculate cost, let's print it so that we can see what type of values we're dealing with. Because if we're getting like outrageous, okay, there's an integer in here ruining everything somewhere. Where is this ruinous integer? Is it this one? Is it the fact that I don't feel like assigning a float the value of an integer should screw up integer multiplication. So maybe it's actually somewhere else. But I'm gonna try this one first. So we're setting cost now to equal the float value of the integer, not the integer itself. Yeah, why are you coming out as round numbers? You're still coming out as round numbers. Why are you so round? There are no integers involved anywhere. I don't think. What are? You're not an integer, are you? No, you're a float. And I assume G is probably also a float. Right? You're a float. I don't see why G or B would be. Why are you getting rounded? Cost. Why? Why? Why on earth? Float cost equals MPF. MPF is an int, but I feel like that shouldn't matter. Alright, well, let's see which half is causing the issue. So we're cutting out this half. Really? So the second half is always evaluating to 2. And why is that? That's crazy sauce. Because from my understanding, RG and B, well, let's look at colors. Let's look at what RG and B mean in colors in Unity. It's like Unity color dot R. The red component of color. What? You're not gonna... That is not a description. That does not count as a description. Oh, I know what we're doing. I know why this is hilariously, obviously wrong. I am not a smart person. Not all the time. Sometimes I'm a smart person. Not today. So we already incremented mob count, so we're looking into the future. What we actually want is mob count minus 1. Yeah. Yep. Sweet. Alright. So, sorry for yelling at you, integers. Clearly not your fault in this case. Hopefully this will work. So now we're getting nice screwy numbers. And I mean like, nice non-integer numbers. So, if we put the threshold to, like, for example, 3 point... Oh, it was stopping every time it hit a coin. It was stopping literally every time it hit a coin. So if we go 3.5, then it'll actually probably take a while. I mean, when it was 3.95, we saw it ran for a while, and it, like, never actually got there. So yeah, actually, at this point, 3 is probably even, like, an outrageous... Not outrageous, but, like, I mean... 3... Nope. 3 is, like, a really high bar, too. Oh, actually, you know what? Something just occurred to me. 2 is not actually the potential outcome of how we're calculate. Hey, look. Well, okay, so we did actually hit it eventually, but yeah, right. So no, it just occurred to me that like 2 is not actually currently the potential outcome of what we're calculating here. So for example, if we cut out the times 2 divided by 3, 3 is not the potential outcome, because like these like RGB values are based entirely on averages of other RGB values. So actually, right. So and then so the other RGB values that these are based on, we can actually only hit 2, even as it's written now. So I thought I had to change something in order to get those aligned, but actually, as is presently, yeah, this is actually what I wanted. So hypothetically, if we run this, like if I set the threshold to 4 and then ran this, then I think we'll actually never hit 4. I think 4 is actually impossible, or 4 is literally like the maximal case, and it's going to be like statistically like highly improbable. If I set it to like 4.1, we'll never actually hit 4. And like I'm seeing some 3s, I'm seeing some high 3s, but I'm not actually seeing anything exceed 4. So yeah, I think. Oh yeah, and so if anyone's curious as to why that is, it's because these are colors, the colors that we're working with. And so, for example, red has R value of like 255, which in that other system would come out as an R value of 1, and green and blue are both bottomed out. If one of the spontaneous colors was just jet black, then the original system would have made sense. Or if like if even if there was like a darker, deeper red in the mix, then like hypothetically we could exceed 4. But as it is presently, I think it is literally impossible to exceed 4. I think 4 is it's the current range of that system. So right, sorry, that was just a moment of clarity, because we'd been like debugging the like why the integers were coming out weird, and we were doing that after we had refactored time. Did we finish refactoring time? Oh yeah, right. No, the reason we've been running the simulation in the first place was to see if the mob count stops incrementing once we hit the threshold. So we'll put the threshold at 2, and once we're in the volcano scene, and the threshold stopped incrementing. Although I did not disable productivity, I did not change productivity at all, so that continues to tick per usual. I should probably increase productivity while you're at the volcano scene. Yeah, I'm sure enough of that I'll do it now. So score plus equals current scene equals 0 question mark. So we're saying if current scene equals 0, then we increment the score by that amount, and then otherwise we increment it by twice as much, I guess. Oh, no. No, maybe not. Because I just remembered one of the possible outcomes is to eliminate the mountain scene altogether. So I'll put it. I'll leave it like that way for now, and then hopefully I will remember to take it out at a later point. So, right. Let's hope. We now have a game. We now have a project that, once a certain threshold is hit, an actually very low threshold, 0.5, I think I was saying would be the threshold. We transition to this other scene. At this scene, we can click buttons, for example. I mean, I guess this wouldn't be a bad part to start writing the actual dialogue. For now, I'm just going to implement one line of dialogue, like the default line of dialogue. That thing that. Yeah, this text is also 3D text. I'm gonna quickly I'm gonna also convert this to GUI text. Create other GUI text. And look, it's just slightly visible right there. Anchor it upper left, yeah, alignment left, GUI text. I'll use the same text from the current text box. And then change the color to roughly what we want the color to be. Change the size to roughly what we want the size to be. That's slightly bigger than we want it to be. That's about right. Oh, huh. This text is less narrow. I wonder what that's about. Actually, it might be that the other text is just distorted because of the transforms I applied to it. Oops. Anyways. Oh, it's shorter. Alright, and it looks like we will once again have to find out how well we can expect text to fit in this space. Yeah, it looks like we have 4 lines with this text, which is kind of nice. 4 lines instead of 3, although those lines are slightly narrower. I think overall it's probably more space, given that we have that whole extra line. So that looks pretty good in terms of the spacing of text within this box. Control A, Control C. I'm just going to use Notepad to change the line breaks. Which I'm guessing this will fit. Just doing that to get a rough idea of how much text I can fit in this box. So right, yeah, one thing I just noticed is that we have the 2 buttons appearing by default, but we actually want the big button to appear for starters. Is that true? Actually, maybe I won't even use the big button until we've gotten like the core whatever up and running. So yeah, leave the 2 buttons for now. Let's get some slightly more descriptive text, slightly more relevant to what the game might actually have this character saying. So what is it? It's like I don't know how much exposition really to put here. I mean, I know roughly how much we can fit here. And so given that constraint, let's just say so the volcano demands sacrifice, which will you okay, what if the volcano demands a tribute, which will you sacrifice? No, I don't actually want to save that. I don't know. Just instinct. Control S if I have it. Copy. So I'm gonna put the GUI text in the text box thing just so that it disappears when everything else disappears. Oops. Just so that it disappears when everything else disappears. But okay, so other than that, let's see how this text fares. Demands attribute. The reason I'm working in Notepad is because I don't know how to insert new line characters in the Unity editor. And by I don't know how, I mean the internet doesn't know how. The internet suggested just pasting them in from another editor. So yeah, the volcano demands a tribute, which will you sacrifice, and then at this point in one of the boxes we will see some number of our score units, currency, etc. So like we'll see the icon representing that currency as well as a number based on the cost value that we calculated. And then on the other side we'll see our unfortunate new mob. What does tribute mean in this context? Is there a definition of tribute? I might just be thinking of popular fiction. Divine tribute. Gratitude, respect, or admiration. Payment. Oh, payment made periodically by one state or ruler to another, especially as a sign of dependence. Yeah, sure. That makes enough sense. Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, one quick thing. Can I edit? No, it's not gonna. Oh wait, actually, maybe if I use the down arrow. Yeah, there we go. All right. The question is actually, what will you sacrifice? Ooh, okay. I'm not like a grammarian. I'm not good with words. It's just that factually is the correct word for the game that we're making. Right, so now the user might actually reasonably know, I guess, to select one of these boxes, especially once we get like the oh yeah, this is where that icon that I am working on would be fairly helpful to just very clearly and concisely punch home. Yeah, we definitely need to change that transition because what appears in this box, we need to change the transition between scenes because what appears in this box is the newly spawned mob, and if the transition happens instantaneously, like you'll have zero context to know that this really is the newly spawned mob because you won't have seen the mob newly spawned in the other scene. Part of the reason that the mobs spawn in the sky and then fall down to the island is so that you can prominently see each. I mean, like when they're so like hypothetically, if like the spawn period was put to like something more like 2, then you would like see each spawn appear in this. Still at a super low threshold. But like if the spawn period was 2 and the threshold was not as strict, then hypothetically you would see them like appear in the sky, fall down to the island. You know, that's very like front and center. And actually, so I think hypothetically, we might even want them starting a little higher and a little more central, and then we'll want them to fall like maybe like halfway. I've been talking about bringing down the height of the volcano, so maybe if we like change the perspective, lowered the height of the volcano, then we could have them appear above the volcano and fall down to roughly the height of the volcano, which I guess would make the transition to make the transition to the volcano scene slightly more sensible. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, for like the point of the game, I think actually it might be most most reasonable or most sensible to have the transition occur when the mob lands, actually. But then, based on the spawn period, we might have mobs spawned before others have even hit the ground. Hypothetically, also a thinker. I guess we could keep track of like what was the last mob to actually hit the ground, or rather, what's the latest? What was the least recent mob that still has not hit the ground? For simplicity's sake, maybe I'll just like cheat the mob like floating in the air for a moment. Oh, you know what I could even do is I could even use this like I could even inset the mob like when it appears in the sky, like it could have like some sort of frame so that it actually doesn't necessarily look like an object in space yet. It just kind of looks like how also like for the volcano scene, like this other box here, the one of the button boxes would hypothetically have like it would hypothetically have like a mob kind of like position, just kind of like pseudo in space, like pseudo, just like, I mean, like kind of like, just kind of like, I don't know. So it's like, it's rendering in 3D, of course, but it's kind of like got like a flat look to it just because of the frame that it's inset. So we could kind of do something like that, which would prominently draw attention to the new mob as it spawned. We could even like have it unaffected by gravity initially. That'll disappear once I exit plane mode. We could have it unaffected by gravity, so, you know, just very, very prominently, very right in the center, we have like this new mob, and then based on the outcome of the volcano scene, which I'm sure most people can guess, like, what are the possible outcomes of the volcano scene at this point from what I've said. Oh, hey! Dry socks! Alright, thanks. I forget where we were at yesterday. Dry socks, he popped in yesterday when I was, he or she, sorry, don't know. I popped in yesterday when I was like setting up like basically like a dry run and saw some of the development that I was working on yesterday. I'm starting to add interactivity currently. Like the reason we're looking at the volcano scene now is that we actually like, so in the simulation, like there's now, sorry, this is going to be a quick recap for everyone who has been watching, but I'm just catching up Trisocks. Uh, so there's now like a threshold based on some of the qualities of the newly spawned mobs, and so like mobs spawn per usual, and then when a certain threshold is hit, based on these qualities, we actually switch over to the volcano scene. So, thank you. So yeah, so that's basically all we've done so far. We've only been, oh gosh, have we really been up for an hour and a half? Wow. I think I've been moving at a very deliberate pace, I guess I'll say. And no, I guess we did accomplish some stuff. We ran into a few bugs and we fixed those as well. So yeah, we got all that up and running. Basically what you see here now. So yeah, I was just debating. So yeah, as I was setting up the second scene and setting up the interaction on the second scene, I was just debating about how to present essentially like, you know, the events of the game to the user, so it's clear what's happening when the scene transitions. Oh, occurs to me now. So yeah, I was talking about like when new mobs spawn, to have them kind of like framed in like midair before they descend down to the island, and then that way, you know, you can kind of like see this new mob, you know, very clearly. You can see what shape it is. You can see the qualities of the mob before transitioning over to the other scene, and then because in the other scene, the same mob will be represented at like, you know, roughly like so. So you know, by seeing it displayed very prominently, it might be easier to make the direct connection, like, oh, this is the same mob that we're dealing with. This is the one that they're talking about. And over time, I think hopefully it's discernible. I'll have to make it somehow discernible that you know, what are the factors that bring us here to the precipice of the volcano. I also realized I hooked up the score meter, but I realized that I guess I've been debating exactly how to represent like this currency that we're dealing with, like this score currency. Originally, for whatever reason, I was originally gonna just use an icon reminiscent of like a floppy disk, but like, yeah, then it immediately occurred to me like, oh wait, floppy disks are save buttons, like that it would look weird if I had like save buttons all over the place. I don't know. So like then I was thinking like Nintendo cartridge. I haven't really pegged it down. Maybe it'll just be like generic cartridge. You know what? Everything else is so like minimalist and like you know, represented by like just like gist type shapes that it's probably fine to represent this in a similar fashion. So yeah, so maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I'll just like, you know, whip up some temp art real quick, just so we have like some sort of coherency, consistency between. Well, so far I've been using the MS Paint palette for my assets, so I might as well continue on that. Oops, no, I don't. Oh yeah, well, okay. So let's spill that, and then let's, I guess, I don't know. Let's 250. These the dimensions of this. This square here are 256 by 256, so if I started 40 pixels in from the other side, then I'll want to 216 pixels. 260. Oh wait, no, it's not asking me what pixels to land on. It's asking me about like the width. So 80, 56. um, I yeah, thanks. The art budget for this project is pretty low. Oh, good news though. I'm pretty sure I have Sunday to work on this as well. Yesterday I thought today was the last day to work on it because I have a really busy Saturday, but I think I have all of Sunday as well. So I I, I'm not gonna shoot for the moon or anything. I'm not gonna go overboard in like art production budget at this point. But by budget I just mean time. But you know it's not as dire as it would have been otherwise. So 256 minus 80 is like 276, I bet, or 176. I feel like that's a true statement. Yeah. So maybe our icons look something like this. Or maybe that's not white, maybe that's just a lighter gray. And then maybe they have like a notched corner. Although I'm imposing it on a rectangular prism, so yeah. If you like seeing features get hacked and slashed, tune in Sunday evening. um, uh, so I don't know exactly what I'm trying to represent with the shape, but maybe if I put like some notches in the lower half, maybe that'll be about right. Oh, it does look like a Game Boy, doesn't it? Well, yeah, I mean, one of my inspirations was like NES cartridge, so yeah, alright. So actually, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe if I'm just making like a shape that's like vaguely evocative of that era of gaming, maybe that's what I'm going for. 216. And then, but if we, I don't know, spill these, is that, I don't know, that's like halfway between like a NES cartridge and a floppy disk, right? I think I might bring in the lower sections a little bit. Wait. So then let's fill in those gaps we accidentally created. And yeah, maybe that's our resource, our precious resource. So let's save that. Oh. Huh. If I put this texture on a cube, I actually don't know how to make it so that it doesn't show on literally every face of the cube. I probably should know how to manage that, but it's not really something that I've looked into yet. I don't actually really use textures very much. I use them like on buttons and stuff, for iconic representation. But instead of a cube, I might, or like instead of a flat rectangular prism, I might use just like two quads next to each other, because like most of the time you're just going to be seeing it from the front. I wanted to give like a 3D form because this resource is actually generated by your population, and so like when like at that moment when you're, oh, I'm going to have to change how the score system works too, because there's actually going to be like the occurrence when your score ticks up, and like you'll see, like you'll actually see these like physical objects like pop out of your population as if they had just spontaneously generated them. So like a lot of this stuff is, I think, nice to have, but I think also these are like the little things that'll make the event seem a little more cohesive rather than just like a random series of like shapes appearing on screen and meaningless numbers. Hopefully, anyways. Alright, so now we have our currency texture. So let's slap that on a quad. Game object, create other quad. Let's put the quad. Where is it? I guess it goes to the same place the score goes, which... Oh no, I specifically did not parent the score to the main camera, but I will parent this quad to the main camera. Score icon, so that we can 0, 0, 0. What? Oh right, we don't see it anymore because it's like flat white and staring right at us. So let's make a new material for our currency map by naming conventions. Apply the currency texture to our material. Apply the material to the score icon. Yeah, look at that. So you're too far away, score icon. Let's bring you a little bit closer, shall we? That's probably better. And now let's move you into place. Yeah, look at that. I don't know why that's so exciting to me. I guess because I've recognized the need for it for so long, and oh wait, actually I can't do too much with Z because I need it to be, I need it to be actually, what is the Z value of volcano scene, or no, the Z value of volcano scene backdrop. It's at, this isn't at 10, so score icon has to be closer than 10. Yeah, right? Like pop up and like spin around, maybe have like stars shooting out of it. If I want to go fancy, I can make the oh wait, no, even the icon in the top corner. Yeah, sure, right. Yeah, that sounds doable. I mean, that really makes me want to actually get the material to sit on like a rectangular prism. So yeah, maybe it's worth investigating that. Try and accomplish that somehow. All right, I'm gonna shrink this down a little bit. Oops, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So that way I can bring it closer. Let's say distance of like 5 or so, and let's actually keep it visible in camera range. Alright, and so that's actually still slightly too big. I chose so the reason the currency is is like this thing evocative of like cartridges and discs. Well, so for me, floppy disks I associate with like my introduction to gaming. Like it's like in a very primitive way, like the what I think of as like the physical manifestation of a video game, and like Nintendo cartridges for me are like very similar. And so for the nature of like so the theme of this jam is Ruin Jam. It's a jam about ruining games, and specifically ruining the games industry. Like my goal with this project is to bring the whole system crashing down around us. Not literally, it's very facetious, but So right, on the volcano scene, this decision that you have to make, when the volcano demands a tribute, what will you sacrifice? You either have to sacrifice your populace, or you have to sacrifice some number of video games, or what, with this currency, which, in the like in within there are games within the game, and like within this games they are like this vital, utmost important thing. I mean, I would say video games are vital and an utmost important thing in real life too, but that is especially the case in this world. I still need to get this icon situated because it is still. Alright, I have to work very, very carefully to get this icon. Alright, so that's probably about the right size. Let's just get it nudged into the correct location. So we want it to be slightly further towards 0, so instead of let's just try like 0.7. Alright, that's settle 0.4 then. 0.5. That could be about right. So then we want this to be slightly lower, so how about like 0.5? No, too low. 0.56. No, too high. 0.54. 0.5. 0.53. Good. Ship that. Thank you. Thank you, Charsocks. One of our other viewers right now, Inarashi, is actually the one running the game jam, and yeah, I thought it was a brilliant idea for a jam, which is why I kind of had to participate. I think there's something like 30 entrants already. I mean, it's been going for like over like a week and a half now, so there's been ample time for participation. I'm one of the stragglers, but I mean, I know I'm at least submitting another project this weekend. I'm submitting a project amongst, along with all the others this weekend. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's like 40 or maybe even more total entrants. I've enjoyed some of the other entrants that I've seen and had a chance to play so far. They're all up on the website. I hope Inarashi doesn't mind me plugging their website. It's itch.io/RuinJam 2014 maybe. Hold on, let me double check. Wow, I have caps lock on for some reason. Itch.io, RuinJam/Ruin. Oh, okay. Itch.io/jam/RuinJam 2014. It's also if you punch RuinJam into a search engine, I think it's like one of the first results too. So, yeah. How many entrants so far? 34 entrants. So, yeah. And I think we skipped past it, but the clock at the top, I think it said 2.5 days left. So we have the other half of today, half we haven't used yet, and then I unfortunately don't really have Saturday. It's just like a really busy day, but then Sunday as well. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, look at that icon. Bam. That thing sure is an icon. I'm just gonna see how jank it looks, how unimpressive it would look to put that same texture on a cube instead. Like put it on a cube and then shrink it down. So yeah, currency on a cube. So now we have this cube, and it just applies flatly to all sides of the cube, which I know is has to do with UV mapping. I just I haven't gotten into that yet. So then if we shrink one of the sides of the cube to a sufficiently small dimension, maybe because then you get that weird pattern on the edges. Which is, if I was gonna represent this as a cube, I would want that not to occur, ideally. but I also don't feel like doing UV mapping. So I'll probably just like, I'll probably instead just, I'm gonna make a prefab for a, well, okay, let's see. What if this instead of a cube was a, was just a quad? Oh, why'd it go upside down? That's weird. Anyways, I'm not gonna change the mesh. I'm gonna start over. What? Oh no, I just deleted the mesh. Okay, wow, that's weird. So, yeah, I'm like, maybe that was shippable, and like, yeah, maybe when you weren't even looking at, yeah, maybe if you're not looking at it super up close, like maybe it's not even like, maybe like not even like noticeable at all. All right, yeah, I guess this is worth trying, right? Yeah, let's take that quad that we just made. What do we call it? Square icon. Let's take it and make it a cube instead. And then let's make it 0.04. And then we already have a script to make things slowly rotate. We called the script mobs, but whatever. I'll just punch it on for. We don't need the mesh collider. Punch on a component for this just to see what it looks like slowly rotating. Bloop. Oh, it might rotate around the wrong axis. I might have to change that. Go. What errors? Why? Are we really getting errors? We didn't change any like code or anything. Oh no, there it goes. Alright. Oh, it's not rotating? I wonder why it's not rotating. Oh yeah, no. The script, yeah, right. No, the script is not gonna work for oh, actually, yeah, no, I guess it might. I'll just make it itself. Oh, but yeah, of course it's spinning in the wrong direction. That probably looks fine though, right? Like, if it was spinning in the correct direction, like when it goes edge on, you can't even really see it. All right, so I'll just like fix that up, I guess. Then why not? Thank you, Chasocks. That yeah. I can always change it later if need be. So what am I doing? Removing that component, add component, new script. What is this? Oh, so this will be, yeah, this will just be like currency. And it's a very similar script to the other one that we already have. So the other script rotates. Yeah, so for the mobs, like the mobs rotate their mesh, whereas actually the game objects themselves always stay oriented in the same direction. For currency, oh yeah, no, actually for currency we probably want to do the same thing, but we still need another script for it because there are several subtle differences. Specifically, no, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if there are differences. Maybe we could just use the same script. I already did that, so I'll just go with it, and that'll make it slightly easier in case we need to differentiate them later. So yeah, this is now our prefab. That one was just for practice. This one is our prefab. Square icon. Yay. So this can just be like currency, I guess. Currency. Yeah. Actually, we changed names. This is still square icon. So yeah, let's add Oh, right, yeah, actually. I guess that was a bit premature. But, so if we add currency as a script, oh, right, yeah, no, there is a difference. Because, right, it was just, it was that, the mobs, they will arbitrarily rotate in alternating directions, just so that they're not all spinning in the same directions. Whereas for currency, we won't. I think we'll just pick one direction and have it spin in that direction consistently. Oh, and then wasn't the other thing that like it was spinning around the wrong axis? So like, I think we wanted it to be like, I think we wanted it to spin around vector up. Why was it left for the other one? I guess maybe because of the right, because the meshes within the game objects themselves were rotated, and so they were rotating around like a different axis. Okay, so now we have to update our prefab to have the mesh within. Oh, right. So actually, I can remove this component from. Oh, oops! I had it on there twice. Anyways, I can remove that because there's actually going to be the. So yes, what is now called score icon is actually just going to be called mesh, and there's actually going to be another game object, which actually okay, I'll parent it to mesh.game object. I'll zero it out. And should I zero out scale? I guess yeah, why not? And I'll put that. This is the score icon actually, and it will contain the mesh. Wait, what? What just happened? Why did it disappear when I parented it? Why disappearing? I don't understand. What is happening? So you're there one moment, and then the next moment, you just disappear. That is great. Why not? Are you? No, just totally disappearing. Why would you do that? Whatever. I'll just have our prefab, so I'll just parent our prefab to score icon and make this one go away. Again, it doesn't work. Why? Why would you not work? Oh, I am the smartest man alive. I always zero out scale when I mean to reset it to 1. So that's cool. Alright. Sorry. Right, and so then we put the currency component on score icon. So currency component on score icon, and set mesh to be this mesh that we have, and then run it. Yay! Look at you rotate. Oh, you're upside down on the other side. So maybe you should flip end over. Oh, UVs. 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 Alright. Jerks. So, because apparently this is a A++ feature that requires just absolutely tons and tons of time investment. I'm going to continue on this saga of icon quest. I'm going to take the mesh, put it in this game object. This game object is meshes plural. This is prism. Your material is not this. Actually, I'll just give you a different material and keep that material. Your material is probably going to be very similar to the border material that we have. Currency base, I guess. Oh yeah. Thanks, AimsX David. I think I did know that, and I did not remember it until you just reminded me of it. What is it's the little gear icon you say? Alright. You're a smarter man than I. Or woman. I'm guessing. Okay, so, thank you. I should get in the habit of, so yeah, in the comment, or in chat, AimsX David reminds that, you can reset components, like their default values, using the, the reset values, setting from this menu in the little gears icon in the upper corner. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right, so I just made a new material. I want it to be the color of the generic part of the icon, and then that is actually going to be what color this disk is. There will, however, also be yeah, that goes with the meshes, which I guess we also want this to be, I think, 0.4 with the dimensions, and then I guess we want it to be at a z of 0.04, half of that, like 0.021, negative 0.021, and then this we will give the currency material, which, oh no, that is right side up. Yeah, the other side is upside down. For some reason I was thinking of it. I was thinking that was upside down for a moment. Partly, I think, just because I want it to be like a smiley face. If you look at it upside down, it's kind of like a smiley face. No, that's right side up. That's good. That's all good. And then, so this will be face 1, and then we'll also have face 2, which will be also in meshes. Except it will be at positive 0.021, and it will be at quaternions. It will be rotated around which axis? Not that one. No, not that one. This axis? Yeah, this axis. It will be rotated 180 degrees around that axis. Oops. Oh. 180, I said. 180. So now we basically have like the same thing as before, except we don't have any of that weird stuff around the edges. It's almost as if we UV mapped it, and then it has the icon's the correct side up on the other side as well. So I think we now have our AAA currency icon. We just have to set meshes to be the thing that rotates, and let's update our prefab. Yay! Alright, look at that.